Crazy week.
Buenos días. Y muy buenos días. Y ahora que todo funciona, now that everything's working. Ok. A ver. Bueno, vamos a practicar. Espero que ustedes estén bien. I hope you guys are well. I am checking my calendar just to open because I want to make sure the fall is that funny thing. We have this week and next week, which fall into that first fall session. And November 6th for you guys will be the beginning of the second fall session. So just a reminder, if when you registered, you only registered for the September through end of October session, make sure you register for the November-December combo. Make sense? ¿Sí? ¿Tiene sentido? Make sense? Okay.
There is no gap between the
There is
sessions.
no gap. Eso. Yeah, the important thing is that usually between winter, spring, summer, fall, usually there's a 1 week gap. Which they use for makeup classes in case an instructor is ill, but there is no gap. So we'll go straight from our last session will be next week, the 30th, but then we slide straight into November 6th. Okay, for some of my classes that falls on different dates because November 1st is the dividing line. Anything from November 1st on falls into the second fall session. I don't figure this stuff out. Okay. I only do what I'm told. Okay. A ver. Bueno, vamos a practicar muchísimo con ser, con estar, con tener. We're going to practice with all these is, our combos. And I want to, and hopefully you guys have some descriptions prepped to share with the class today. Vamos a empezar aquí. We're going to start here. I want to show you just a snippet, which we won't listen to the whole video, pero vamos a empezar aquí con este video. We're going to start with, a little review here. This was pretty long. So, I didn't want to give you too many things, although there are a lot of pauses, so it's not like nonstop talking. So even though the video runs 25 minutes, 25 minutos, aunque es un video de 25 minutos, en realidad no es un video tan largo. It's really not such a long video because there's a lot of pausing and looking.
And this video, at least for me, both of the gals maintained a kind of could keep up with them pace, you know.
Eso, sí.
Anyone else kind of? This was one video I didn't have to turn on and off too often just to sort of check a word here and there. They were followable more or less.
Steady pace, steady pace. And notice this is labeled as a beginner Spanish. Sometimes they label some of their videos super beginner, but this was labeled as beginner. For that reason, I think they when they categorize, they try to emphasize with people, keep within a certain type of pace. Okay. A ver. Y el tema es que tienen un juego de adivinar Andrea que no puede ver sin los lentes, que no puede ver sin las gafas, o no puede ver muy bien sin los lentes. La pobre Andrea, ella tiene que adivinar. She has to guess. Tiene que adivinar la cosa que está en la foto. Okay. But the interesting thing with this video was that actually buried within, there are a whole bunch of examples of how is and are start to flip between all these words we've been working with. And I'm going to play just this segment of it because it highlights in a small space of time many of them. Es la foto de la playa.
Listo. Ok. Este es el siguiente nivel.
Este es el siguiente. This is the next level. And we need es, not está. Yeah. She's talking about what this thing is. It's a new level. It's a new guessing game. Okay. Vale.
Ok. Eso es una imagen.
She's saying what it is. It is an image. Es una imagen. We need ser to talk about what things are, identifying things.
De una playa, el mar. Yo pienso que son palmeras.
I think they are palm trees. Okay, pienso que, I think that, pienso que son palmeras, son, they are, she's identifying what they are. Now, it would be possible to say, pienso que hay palmeras. Hay palmeras. She could have said there are. But notice we can't use está. You could say, and we're going to analyze why you can do this. Son palmeras. They are palm trees. O, por ejemplo, se puede decir, hay palmeras. There are palm trees. And notice when we say there are palm trees, hay palmeras, we cannot use a las there. With I, we cannot use the word el, la, los, las. Okay. I is kind of specific in that way. It can never use a the word. Hay palmeras. I could switch gears a little bit and say this, but I would have to change some of the information in the basic sentence. Son palmeras. Hay palmeras en la foto. Oh, por ejemplo, las palmeras están en la playa. Las palmeras están en la playa. Why can I switch to estar there? Las palmeras están en la playa.
Is it a charge or a credit
A credit. It's a place.
on that card?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if it's a credit, then that's good.
And Mark, you may need to mute.
Okay, that's
I don't want you to reveal a card. That'll be broadcast. Okay. Vale, no, está bien. Okay, why can I switch and say las palmeras están en la playa?
Because it's the location of the palmeras.
It's the location of palmeras. Exacto. Sí, Lori. Okay. And we'll let her say a little more.
Ok. Y arena. Sí. Bueno, bien, bien. Y en el cielo hay nubes.
In the sky, and not son, or not están. En el cielo hay nubes. In the sky, there are. En el cielo hay nubes. Okay, we could say las nubes están en el cielo, pero en el cielo hay nubes. In the sky, there are clouds.
¿Hay nubes o no hay nubes?
Are there clouds or aren't there clouds?
Pocas nubes, como
A few. Pocas. A few.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nubes. Okay.
And notice when she counted una, dos, so she didn't say uno, dos, tres, because she's describing nubes. So this is one of the small, or one of the few times really when you have to think about a gender with that word one, because she's talking about clouds, una nube, and she's counting them. And because they're feminine things, una, dos, tres, cuatro. And that number, una, is the only one that has to go into a feminine.
Okay. Bien. Bueno, bien. Ponete los lentes.
A ver. ¡Oh! ¡Qué bonita! Bonita foto. Sí.
Sí. Bueno, bien, Andrea, ¿eh?
Okay. So, aquí en esta parte muy pequeña y parte muy breve del video, pueden escuchar que hay gran variedad de usar formas de ser, es o son, formas de estar, está, y hay. And sometimes even tiene. We could have even said, you know, la playa tiene palmeras. The beach has clouds. So tiene may come in, but then it won't be one of those idioms in that sense because the beach actually has, you know, certain things. Okay. Beach has items. Beach has vegetation. Okay. Vamos a empezar aquí. We're going to start here. Because people kind of enjoyed the challenge of the 1 through 13, we were saying, hey, let's take a look at the rest of these. Now, notice the theme of this, and it's important to keep in mind, this has a theme, and the theme is we're going to be deciding about how to talk about your town. See, me hablas de tu pueblo o tu ciudad. Talk to me about your town or your city. So we're always describing the place where you live, whether it's a town, whether it's a city, whether it's a suburb. Okay. And what we're going to be employing is either hay or tener or estar or ser, estar, hay, tener. Los cuatro verbos, yeah, either hay or es, son, está, están, right? Tiene, something has, okay, vale? And we were starting at, we talked about 13 because it had that funky word, gentilcilio, okay? We're going to start with 14. Vamos a empezar aquí con 14. Con 14. Y la idea aquí, voy a engrandecer aún más un poquito. Sí, un poquito mejor. Número 14 dice, pum, 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 una ciudad ecológica. Is it an ecological city, meaning they follow good practices for the ecology? Is it? Es, está, hay, tiene. ¿Cuál? Which of the 4 fits there? We're talking about the town where you live.
Es.
Es. Tenemos que identificar, we've got to identify being a city that has ecological practices, identifying a characteristic of the city. So it won't be está, it's not how the city doesn't feel, yeah. Bien.
I said TNA, but then I have it X'd out.
Well, why does tiene not work there? Let's think about
because
that.
it's not a person, right?
Yeah. Tener works in that is our sense when we either when we're using those idioms, tiene calor, tiene frío, sensations, all those tener idioms, and those tener idioms, boy, they are legion. They are all over the place. But that really is not an idiomatic use of tener. Okay. And it can't have ecological city. Yeah. It can only be an ecology-minded city. Okay. Entonces, and obviously it can't be está because we're not talking about a state. We're talking about a description that's pretty constant there, right? Es una ciudad ecológica. Bueno, siguiente, 15. Tu familia y tú, you and your family. Oh, originarios. Are you and your family originally from the area? And the way we say area is usually the word zona. Son Están,
Son.
tienen, son.
Son.
Okay. ¿Y por qué? Why does son work there?
Well, it's characteristic, it's where you're from, but because it's you and your family, it's plural.
It's plural because we're talking about you and your family, or more than one person. And are
Now,
you
if it were just your family, then it would be es, correct? Tu
Sí.
familia.
see,
Okay.
if we took out the y tú, if we just said tu familia, your family. And actually we could even take that word originarios out. Originarios just says originally. Yeah. We could take originarios out and it would still be son. Son de la zona. Are they from this area? But we wanted to make sure you were thinking about origin. Okay. Anything that talks about origin is still an identifying factor. Okay. So origin uses ser. When 16. Oh, esto es difícil. This one is kind of a tough one. This is kind of a quirky one. Fama is fame. ¿Qué fama, pum, 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 sus habitantes?
I,
Tenía,
what is that?
This one is tiene. This is an odd example.
Oh,
Somebody en español tiene fama. Something has fame. Entonces, la pregunta en 16 es ¿qué fama tiene sus habitantes? O qué, perdón, tienen. ¿Qué fama tienen, perdón, plural? ¿Qué fama tienen sus habitantes? What are their inhabitants famous for? What fame do they have? This isn't kind of an odd use. I don't know that I would exactly put it into the tener idiom, but it's kind of close to that. It's just the way they use that. Tiene fama. Otro ejemplo, I'll give you another example of how you might hear this, because this may not be something you need to use in everyday conversation. Pero, por ejemplo, Taylor Swift tiene fama de cantar en conciertos gigantes. Somebody has fame. Bien? Okay. So 16 is kind of a quirky example. Sí, Cindy.
My question is, what is it exactly are they asking? Who are they, or what are they, or
What
do you have?
It's kind of like saying, what are they famous for? But notice there's no word for in there.
Exactly.
It's just the way they phrase that idea. And this is kind of an odd structure. ¿Qué fama tienen sus habitantes? What fame do their inhabitants have?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But with the way we would phrase that in English would be, what are the inhabitants famous for? Okay. Un ejemplo, hablando de una ciudad. So let's put this in the context of a city. And I'm going to give you like an answer type thing, okay, to show you how this works. Los habitantes de Nueva York tienen fama de tener una gran variedad de restaurantes. Oh, por ejemplo, los habitantes de San Francisco, en California, tienen fama de ser gente cosmopolitana. They are famous for being a cosmopolitan kind of people. Yeah. Inclusive of many different types of people. So you're maybe not as likely to use that 16 example quite so much. Okay. A ver,
So that's
siguiente.
not really fixed.
Oh, and Cindy, you froze up a little bit.
Is that not, do you think that's not really put together? The way that's stated, would you not normally ask a question like that? Is that not stated
It's
well?
a normal question, but is it one of those phrases you really need in your hip pocket so much? No, because it's not really like the other tener idioms of talking about using tener with sensations. Like, por ejemplo, tengo frío en enero. I'm cold in January. That's talking about physical sensations. Okay. Or even sometimes tener idioms get out of that realm of physical sensations to talk about somebody is successful. Por ejemplo, Taylor Swift tiene éxito en su tour. Taylor Swift is successful on her tour. And we would say is successful, but in Spanish they say tiene éxito. So I would say tiene fama is not as common a structure because you need that word fama there, Cindy. And I would say you're not as likely to use that as tiene éxito, something is successful. Okay. O
Thank
por
you.
ejemplo, sí,
Gracias.
tiene calor, tiene frío, tiene hambre, tiene sed. Those are all much more common. Even tiene razón. Tiene razón is right, is correct. Somebody is right, is more common than tiene fama. You know, that's all. They were just plugging in this example. Okay. Bueno,
Gracias.
de nada, de nada. But we cannot use I there, and this is kind of an, so in a way it is sort of an idiomatic use. Okay, adelante. Let's go on to things that would be more common. 17. En tu ciudad, terrazas, terraces, en verano.
I.
Ay, muy bien. En tu ciudad hay terrazas en verano. Son does not really work here. We just want to know if the thing we're calling terrazas, terraces, are they out there? Are they around? Right? When you're just asking if things are around in the area, I is the best choice. And notice it's just hay terrazas. We cannot say hay las terrazas, right? It's got to be hay terrazas. Are there terraces? We want to know if that is something that's a feature of the environment. Anything that just exists is hay. En tu ciudad hay. Okay. 18. What's the best neighborhood to live in? That's asking, what's the best neighborhood to live in?
Es.
Es. ¿Cuál es? And actually kind of a red flag there is that word cuál. Cuál is very likely to be paired up with cuál es, or if we put it into the plural, it'll be cuáles son. ¿Cuáles son los mejores barrios? Or ¿cuál es el mejor barrio? Which one is? And again, we're looking at identifying, pinpointing something. Okay, algo específico. And anytime we identify, it's going to be ser, and estar does not fit. Okay, vale. 19. Is it a city for young people or older people? That's what that's asking. Is it a city for young people or old people?
Es.
Es. We're talking about the city you live in, asking questions about the city you live in. Es una ciudad para jóvenes o mayores. And again, we're just identifying. We need ser. I doesn't work because you're not, the meaning is not, is there a city for old people or young people? Is it a city? You're looking at a description. Okay. Vale. Siguiente, 20, 20, 20, 20. What is its oldest monument?
Yes.
Yes.
Es. And that flag, red flag word is cuál. ¿Cuál es su monumento más antiguo? ¿Cuál es? ¿Cuál es? If I took cuál out of that question and I plugged in a different question word, if I took out cuál and I put in dónde, what would make sense? If I
¿Dónde
took
está?
out cuál,
Está.
¿dónde está? Right. So the type of interrogative word may help drive, right? With ¿dónde está su monumento más antiguo? I would be asking for a location. So because the ¿dónde word is a location question word. Vale, perfecto. Okay. 21. And that little there is important. That lead off words, teeny tiny as it is important. ¿A cuántos kilómetros de la frontera, from the border, más cercana? And we're talking about your city. We're talking about your city. Here's what the question is asking. You may need that.
Oh,
How many kilometers from the border? How far
Are there?
away is it from the nearest border? I guess that's the way we would best say it in English. How many kilometers away is it from the nearest border?
I'd say
Yes.
estar because of location and city.
Eso
It's the
sí.
city.
Okay, let's take a look at this because unlike that número 17, that 16, which is kind of a less frequent thing, this is a frequent thing to talk about because many times we want to talk about how far away is something, right? When you're getting directions, how far away is something? And in this question, it's asking, how far away is it? Even though the word far isn't there, but how many, because we have kilometers, okay? And that's our measurement. We could substitute miles, millas, for, the measurement that we use here in Estados Unidos. But the estar a, and then a distance. Estar a, and the distance is far away from. Okay, por ejemplo, el pueblo de Tempe está a 25 minutos de mi casa. It's about 25. Está 25 millas, perdón. Está 25 millas de mi casa. Tempe is about 25 miles from my house. Okay. La Universidad de Arizona State, la Universidad de Arizona State está a 25 millas. ASU is about 25 miles away. And when you talk about something is this distance away from, we use estar because it's just location, nada más. But notice we're in English, we need that word away. You don't have an away word. You have a and the distance measurement. A and the distance measurement. And here they're plugging it into the question. ¿A cuántos kilómetros está de la frontera más cercana? How many kilometers is it away from the nearest border? See, Cindy.
Yeah, I get these mixed up all the time. So here's how I would, if I were looking at it. I would say, how many kilometers are there from the frontier? Are
Okay,
See,
let's
I-
think about that. And let's think about that in the way of a workaround. And what I mean by that is, if you want to ask a question like that, maybe you're not thinking, oh, I need that "a" word to lead off. ¿A cuántas millas está el pueblo? ¿A cuántas millas está el pueblo más cercano? How far away is the closest town? Okay. Or how many miles away is the closest hotel? Okay. ¿A cuántas millas? There is a practical question. ¿A cuántas millas está el hotel más cercano? ¿A cuántas millas está el hotel más cercano? If you can't think of the a cuántas millas or a cuántos kilómetros, you can ask, you can do a workaround and plug in a more familiar structure. Okay, like, ¿dónde está la frontera desde aquí? Where is the border from here? Sí. You can take out the a cuántos kilómetros. Take that out. Hay una frontera cerca de la ciudad. Is there a border near the city? You know, a country border, because we live in a bordering state. Okay, you could. But it's kind of handy to know that estar which you usually think of estar en, right? Por ejemplo, si el Gran Cañón está en Arizona. Bien, ¿sí? O, por ejemplo, las calles principales están en Phoenix. The main roads are in Phoenix. But estar indicates a distance. Not estar en, but estar ¿sí? Okay. El parque está a una milla. El parque está a una milla. The park is 1 mile away.
So is this a specific, if you're asking a specific distance, you always use the star?
If you're asking a specific difference, yes, distance. And usually we plug in an idea of like away or from. How far from here, right? Or how far away from here. Okay. And the way to express that idea in Spanish is with estar a. Estar a. Bien. So that actually is something that we use when we're asking for directions sometimes. So it can be kind of practical. Okay. A ver. So, but again, it's asking for distance is a location-oriented thing, right? So that's why it's estar, not ser, not tener, not hay, because estar is used to talk about location, and distance is an element of location, right? It's in that neighborhood, that realm of location. Vale, bueno, 22. Oh, where's the best restaurant in your city?
Está.
¿Dónde?
Está.
¿Dónde está?
Está.
Like cuál is a flag, red flag for es, or cuáles for son. ¿Dónde is going to be a flag for estar? Okay. And it's a more obvious flag than what you saw in 21. There was kind of a flag with a distance, but that was not an obvious flag because you learn early on donde is talking about or asking for distance. Donde está el mejor restaurante de tu ciudad? Where's the best restaurant in your city and location? Es obvio. That one is more obvious. Es obvio. Es obvio. Bueno, 23. Siguiente. 23. What's the quality of life for you? What's the quality of life in your town?
I would say es.
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 ¿Qué es? You don't hear que paired up with está, do you? Yeah. ¿Qué es la calidad de vida para ti? What is your quality of life there? And you're basically, it's a question asking for identifying something that's a characteristic, right? La calidad de la vida, quality of life. Características, characteristics, identifying what it is. We need ser, not estar, not tener.
Can I ask a question about that one?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it T, not two at the end?
Oh, why is it para ti and not para tú? Because of that word para. Para is for. Para is a preposition. And para ti, we need the ti pronoun as a prepositional pronoun. Another one that changes is para mí. Para mí. Me and ti, right? I can't use yo or tú after para. I have to use me and ti after para. All the other pronouns plug in the same. Nosotros, para él, para ella, para ellos, para nosotros, for us. But me and ti change. They're the two oddballs. Ok. Vale. Buena pregunta. 24. Is there some typical dish in your city? Is there some kind of typical dish? Some kind of is that algún word, some kind of.
I would say I.
I. You're asking if something exists. Yeah. If something exists. We're not asking about a location. It wouldn't make sense to say, ¿está en tu ciudad algún plato típico? No, hay en tu ciudad, hay algún, and if you took out the en tu ciudad, just said, hay algún plato típico, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we're asking if there's a specialty kind of food in your town with that question. Vale, siguiente, 25. 25 is seeking to ask, what's the thing that you like the most about your city? What's the thing you like most?
Yes.
¿Qué es? ¿Qué es? ¿Qué es? ¿Qué es lo que más te gusta de tu ciudad? The lo que just means what. Lo que is saying the thing that. Okay. But we would not be likely to say the thing that. I would not. What's the thing you like most? Yeah. What do you like the most? ¿Qué es? ¿Qué es lo que más te gusta de tu ciudad? Bueno, vale. 26. ¿Cuáles los mejores sitios para ir de compras? What are the best places to go shopping? What are the best places to go shopping?
Son.
Son. ¿Cuáles son? And cuáles plural. There is our flag word. We pair that up with es or son. Aquí es son. ¿Cuáles son los mejores sitios? We're asking you to identify what are the best places. We're identifying, that's why we're using ser. Vale, bueno. 27. Is it better to live in a town or in a city? You're looking at relative sizes of communities there, right? Is it better to live in a town, smaller, or in a city, bigger?
I would go with es over está because it's asking about the characteristic, not the location.
Eso sí.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're asking to make a choice. We're not asking if something exists, so I's out of the question. Yeah. And we're not really talking about location or how somebody feels. Es mejor. Es often translates like in this, it really would be is it. Is it. And the word it in Spanish does not appear here. Okay. Many times we translate it as lo or la, but here, where in English we need the word it to say is it. You don't need the it word. It's just es. Es mejor. Is it better? Es mejor. And you're right. You're talking about, a characteristic. Is it better? Yeah, mejor. Okay. Siguiente. 28. Algún museo, some kind of museum. Algún museo en tu pueblo o ciudad. We're asking if something is around. Hay algún museo en tu pueblo o ciudad? Is there some museum in your town or city? ¿Hay algún museo? Vale, bueno. Just existence. Hay. Dos más. 29 tiene la palabra alrededor, around. What's around the main square, right? What's around the main square? Plaza is a square. It's a plaza, but yeah. What's around the main square?
Yes.
This
I would
one
go
is a
with the
little
star. This one was tricky. Yeah, I would.
This
go with
one
the
is
star.
tricky. Alrededor, around talks about location. Yeah. You know what? I really think two things work here.
Está.
Que está, what's around? Que está. You could use que hay. You could possibly use que hay, but está, I think, is better here. Que está alrededor de la plaza principal. You could also just talk about general stuff existing. Que hay, what stuff is around. Que hay, que está. Pero está es un poquito más lógico aquí. Que está alrededor. What is around a location here? Okay. Y por fin tenemos aquí 30. What's its transportation system like? What is its transportation system like? What's its transportation system like?
Yes.
¿Cómo es? ¿Cómo es su sistema de transportes? ¿Cómo es su sistema de transportes? What is its transportation system like? Notice we can use, whereas cuál is usually going to be a flag for es, and donde is going to be a flag for está. ¿Cómo can be used with es, or como can be used with está. So let's take this last one to think about this a little bit. Como es asks for something very, very different than como está. Right? Como está asks for how somebody feels. Okay. What is their state? Happy, sad, well, ill. Okay. Como está means how is somebody feeling? Okay. So como is not a flag for any one form of is or are. You have to be looking at the whole rest of the context there. Como es is asking you, what is it like? How is it? Meaning, how does it appear? How does it function? We're asking you to identify it. Como es is asking for an identification. Okay. Como está is asking for how somebody is feeling. So como can work with two of those verbs, but the context is very different. ¿Sí? ¿Bien?
Yeah.
Vale. Bueno. You guys did quite well with that. Hicieron bien. You did well. I did ask if you would bring some thoughts, a few sentences, using ser or estar or I or a mix of them to talk about where you live, where you visit frequently, or your neighborhood. Okay. I will start off with my example so you see an idea of what I'm talking about. I'm going to mix ser and estar and I, and maybe even tiene, throw that in a little bit, to talk about my town. ¿Sí? Porque vivo en un pueblo, no vivo en Scottsdale, vivo muy cerca de la ciudad de Scottsdale, pero no vivo en Scottsdale. Así que en el pueblo donde vivo, hay más habitantes en el otoño y el verano. Perdón, hay más habitantes en el otoño y el invierno y hay pocos habitantes en el verano. Hay pocos habitantes en el verano, pero hay muchos habitantes porque el pueblo tiene snowbirds. Tiene personas que visitan solamente en el otoño, en el invierno. Bueno, en mi pueblo no hay mucho tráfico, por lo general, no hay mucho tráfico. Y en mi pueblo, el parque principal, el parque grande del pueblo está a 2 millas de mi casa. El parque en el pueblo está a 2 millas de mi casa. El pueblo está al este. Está al este de Scottsdale. Mi pueblo está al este, quizás un poquito al norte también, noreste de Scottsdale. 2 supermercados están en el centro de mi pueblo. 2 supermercados están en el centro de mi pueblo. ¿Ok? ¿Vale? So, there are some examples using estar, using ser, using I. Y hay un fuente. There's a big fountain. Hay un fuente enorme. Hay un fuente enorme que funciona sí, a la hora, on the hour, it works. Okay, a ver. Descripciones, any descriptions that you guys have prepared?
I have one.
Bueno, Lori, empieza.
Okay. En mi barrio hay un parque de fútbol, 2 campos de golf, pero los ambos son caros y yo no los juego. Y desde el viernes, DraftKings. Es tranquilo y seguro. También está cerca de tiendas y acceso de la autopista de 101.
Ah, 101. Excelente. Es tranquilo. Me gusta la descripción. Es tranquilo. It is calm. It is, yeah, it is quiet. Yeah. If you want to express it in areas quiet, tranquilo, es quizás la mejor palabra. Sí, es tranquilo. It is calm. It is quiet.
Pero no en febrero.
Ah, pero no.
En febrero.
Ah, en febrero no es tranquilo.
No.
Sí,
Es
sí.
loco.
Ok, ok. Bien. Buenos ejemplos. Gracias, Lori. Ok, Marcos.
Vivimos en el norte de Scottsdale. Nuestro barrio tiene muchas montañas y plantas desérticas. Es muy bonito. Hay muchas cosas que nos gusta hacer en el centro de Phoenix. Por ejemplo, el Museo Heard y el Museo de Arte de Phoenix están en Avenida Central.
Muy bien, muy bien. Buenos ejemplos, sí. Me gustan los ejemplos. Gracias, Marcos. Bueno, ¿quién más? Who else has some examples? Descriptions of your town, descriptions of your city, or your neighborhood, or a place where you visit. It could be anything. Alguien. Cindy, did you have something? Oh, and you're on mute.
Sure.
Pero mejor.
Let's see. My town. Nuestro pueblo era muy pequeño. Había cuántos cientos personas. Que
400 personas.
que viven allí, sí.
Wow, un pueblo muy pequeño.
En mi clase, high school, no sé.
¿Colegio o escuela secundaria? Los dos.
Colegio. Hay 16 estudiantes.
16 estudiantes en el colegio. ¡Wow! Esto me sorprende. This surprises me. Ay.
Can you tell they're doing some work here? Can you hear that?
No.
Oh.
Entonces, no había una banda. There was no like school band. Me imagino, ¿no?
Ay.
Oh, sí.
Pero es total estudiantes en la colegio. Hay 130 estudiantes en todo colegio.
En todos los niveles, en todas las clases.
Sí.
Wow. Wow.
Kindergarten through 12.
Ay. Ok. Vale, bueno, ¿qué escuela? ¿Qué escuela pequeña?
Sí,
Okay.
tengo una pregunta. Cindy, ¿dónde está este pueblo?
Es en Michigan.
Oh,
Y Michigan es un mitten.
Sí,
¿Cómo se dice?
un
mitten.
mitón.
Un mitten.
Todos los habitantes usan la mano, pues sí, todos usan la mano para describir. Ay, ¿es donde vivo? Sí.
Sí, y en the thumb.
Ah, sí, lo conozco bien. Sí.
Ajá.
Hay pueblos allá, aquí en el pulgar del mitón
Pulgar.
de Michigan.
Sí.
Sí,
Sí.
yo crecí aquí en el mitón, ¿sí?
¿Sí?
Crecí
¿Cuál
aquí
ciudad?
en el Mitón de Michigan,
¿Cuál
en Grand
Oh,
Rapids, ¿sí?
yo,
El pueblo,
no.
el pueblo de Jerry Ford.
Ujú, sí, yo sé. Yo conozco. Sí.
Pero es una ciudad de verdad y hay muchos colegios y hay como, no sé, como 6 colegios en la ciudad y,
Ujú.
y hay más porque hay alrededores, there are suburbs también. Pero aquí en el Pulgar de Michigan no hay tanta gente. There's not so many people right up here.
No.
No.
Y todos los pueblos, how would you say, are equally small, equally pequeño? They're all small. They're all like that.
Todos son, sí, todos los pueblos son pequeños, sí.
Ujú.
Eso es, sí. Es muy común. También en la parte de arriba, en la otra península de Michigan, sí. Los Yoopers, sí. La gente que vive en la otra península al norte de Michigan, sí, se llaman los Yoopers. They're called the Yoopers. Sí.
Exactly.
Upper
Exactly.
Peninsula se dice en inglés como Yooper. Y hay muchos pueblos aquí en la otra península también que son pueblos muy, sí, pequeñitos, teeny tiny. Así es. Ok, gracias. Bueno, bueno, hay más. Anything else? Any other town information anybody else wants to talk about? Ok. Una cosa interesante donde yo vivo, where I live, y tengo que buscar rápidamente una foto para ayudarles. Ok. Bueno, porque estoy muy cerca del desierto. En el pueblo donde vivo, vivo muy cerca de, del borde del pueblo y es común, it's like es mejor. Es común que vemos animales salvajes de vez en cuando, porque estamos muy cerca del desierto. Pueden ver, pueden ver el mapeche aquí. ¿Sí? ¿Pueden ver el mapeche? Sí. Anoche había dos mapeches en mi patio. Dos mapeches en el patio de atrás, porque vivimos tan cerca del desierto que hay muchos animales salvajes sí, o silvestres, sí, salvajes que nos visitan, who visit us, que nos visitan de vez en cuando. También a veces bobcats, sí, esos, pero mapeches, sí. Aunque no me gustan mucho los mapeches. I'm not really fond of them. Ok. Bueno, a ver. Hay otro ejemplo. Any other example before I move on to a little different use of ser estar or no? Nada. Bien. Okay. Vale. I want to explore one other extra use of ser, which isn't always talked about much, but is used a lot. So unlike that tiene fama thing, which will have really limited use, this is going to be a broad use. and something that you're going to hear quite a lot when people have descriptions. I did give you this video to watch for the week, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The point of this video was not a storytelling thing, no es una historia como el video de Andrea sin los lentes, no. El video aquí es un video de instrucción de cómo usar de con nouns. How we use de with nouns. And es always comes into the works here. Es always comes in. If I want to say something is made out of a certain material, okay? If I want to talk about what stuff is made out of, I need a form of ser, and I need that word de for the material. And English does something different. And the way the reason I liked this video is that English takes two nouns and puts them together. And the example she gives is orange juice. Orange is one thing, right? And juice, and they're two nouns, but we put them together to say orange juice, okay? And when I want to talk about what kind of juice it is, what is the component that makes up the kind of juice it is, I cannot say naranja jugo. It's got to be jugo de naranja. Jugo de naranja. So this thing of Spanish needs usually with a form of ser, because we're identifying what it is. We're telling what it is made out of. Okay. And that is where the of word, the de, comes into play. Often we need ser, and we need that item, and then we need de and the material it is made out of. Now, this is used to talk about clothing. It's used to talk about food. It's used to talk about the kind of material and the seat of your car. If it's leather seats or cloth seats, yeah. It's used to talk about any, a lot of descriptions, So we're going to take a look at some ways to use this, okay? And I will send you this whole thing. But in order to do this, we cannot take the two nouns and put them together. We have to have es or son if it's plural, the item, which is the first noun, okay, and then de, and then the thing it's made out of. Okay, unos ejemplos. So, jugo de naranja is the example that she used over and over in the video, but we're going to see it in different contexts. So if we want to talk about, voy a engrandecer la pantalla aquí. Okay, mejor. Okay, if I want to talk, so not even just clothing or just food. If we talk about books, you might say a history book, a math book, yeah, a spelling book. You've got little grandkids, but if we're talking about books, we need this de. Un libro de. Es un libro. Es un libro. Por ejemplo, Team of Rivals es un libro. Es un libro de historia. But I need to put in that word de. So I'm going to make it big. No se puede decir historia libro. Historia libro. No es posible. History book. No. Es un libro de historia. Team of Rivals es un libro de historia. Por ejemplo. Okay. Betty Crocker. Y tenemos varias palabras aquí a la derecha que podemos combinar para las palabras aquí. ¿Qué tipo de libro es Betty Crocker?
Es un libro de cocinar o recetas.
Sí, a recipe book or a cookbook. And I put the two words in because you might hear either. But we need that de word. Sí, Betty Crocker es un libro de cocinar. Betty Crocker es un libro de recetas. It's a recipes book. ¿Sí? Vale, bueno, aquí. German for Beginners es un libro
De alemán.
de alemán. Es un libro de alemán. Exacto. Es un libro de alemán. Ah, ah, a ver. I keep getting my fingers on the wrong keys. Okay, de alemán. Bien. Bueno, The Hobbit. ¿Qué tipo de libro es The Hobbit?
Fantasía.
De fantasía. Eso sí. Bueno, Hobbit. The Hobbit es un libro de fantasía. Eso sí. También, sí, y no tenemos libro de ciencia. ¿Cómo sí? Un libro de biología. Sí, es un libro de ciencia, por ejemplo, ¿sí? I've got one example that isn't going to fit there. Así que sí, y podemos decir también que Game of Thrones es un libro de fantasía, Harry Potter es un libro de fantasía, así. Vale, por ejemplo, okay. Si podemos añadir, if we could add something here, podríamos decir, we could say, sí que podríamos decir que este libro aquí es un libro de ciencia. This is a science book. Es un libro de biología, pero no se puede decir, la idea es que no podemos decir biology book. Es un libro de biología, es un libro de ciencia, por ejemplo. ¿Ok? ¿Vale? Bien. Vamos a seguir aquí con otro tema. We're going to have another theme, but the theme is always going to be de, not two nouns together, okay? But the item you talk about and then what it is about or what it is made out of, what it is about or what it is made out of. Y aquí tenemos categorías. Otra vez, tenemos categorías, son películas. Vamos a hablar, no vamos a hablar de libros, vamos a hablar de películas. Son pelis, they are movies. Películas. Bueno, Saving Private Ryan, ¿qué tipo de película es? Tenemos aquí palabras a la derecha: ciencia ficción, horror, acción, romance, guerra. Guerra es war, sí, ciencia ficción, science fiction, acción, horror, romance son obvios. Ok, ¿qué tipo de película es Saving Private Ryan? Sí, de guerra, sí.
De guerra.
Saving Private Ryan es una película de guerra. Es una película de guerra. It's a war movie. Bien, bueno, Star Wars.
Ficción.
Es una película de ciencia ficción. Es una película de ciencia ficción. It's a sci-fi.
What is ciencia?
Ciencia, science.
Science fiction. Okay.
Science,
Gracias.
sí. Ciencia
Gracias.
ficción y ciencia ficción es science fiction. Sí, ciencia ficción.
Marilyn, I want to ask what might be the dumbest question today, but since we're on the topic of, you don't put two nouns together. Why is ciencia ficción okay to put the two nouns together, unless you want to just assume that the ficción is an adjective here? But
Sí.
I mean, but it sounds to me no different than the other examples of why isn't it un película de ficción de ciencia?
Ciencia. Y sí, y la verdad es que no sé por qué. I do not know why, pero siempre es ciencia ficción. Science fiction is always expressed that way, and it does look like we're violating that rule, doesn't it? Science fiction. Well, yeah, science fiction, pero es así. Yeah, this is one I don't have an answer for you for. It just is. It just is that way. Es así. Siempre es, would that be because science fiction is it borrowed from the idea of that's the way we express it in English? No sé. No estoy segura. I'm not really sure of the reason why for that, pero es buena idea. Oh, and I am missing one category here. No tengo la categoría. Tenemos también una categoría de comedia. Comedia. Okay. Vale. Bueno, sí, Star Wars. And I think the way they title Star Wars in Spanish is La Guerra de las Galaxias. Guerra de las Galaxias. I think that is the title. A lot of times movie titles get changed when they put it into a different language market. Okay, vale. Aquí es esta categoría aquí como películas como Die Hard, películas como Kill Bill. Okay. Sí, películas como películas de bueno, sí, son películas. ¿Qué tipos de películas son? De acción. De acción. Action movies. Acción. Son películas de acción. Son películas de acción. My Big Fat Greek Wedding es. ¿Qué tipo de película es?
De comedia.
Sí, comedia y de romance también. Romance también, sí. Es de romance y es de comedia también. Exacto. Bueno, Home Alone.
Comedia.
Es una comedia, sí, es una película de comedia, sí. Y claro, entonces, sí, The Shining, ¿qué tipo de película es?
De horror.
De horror, de horror. Es una película de horror. Ok, y con la excepción de ciencia ficción, y gracias, Marcos, you're right, logically that seems to break the rule, pero es así. It is just that way. Es como se expresa. Ok, so, si hablamos de libros, muchas veces algo de, ¿sí? Cuando hablamos de películas, el tipo de película, muchas veces aquí de. Ok, vale. Igualmente, cuando hablamos de muchas cosas, we talk about many things, ¿ok? Sí, aquí tenemos, por ejemplo, cucharas, ¿sí? Son cucharas. These are spoons, ¿sí? Y aquí tenemos helado. Here we have ice cream. Aquí tenemos platos, ¿ok? Aquí tenemos 2 tazas. We've got 2 cups. Aquí tenemos sopa Y por fin tenemos una ensalada. ¿Ok? Vale, entonces vamos a usar varias descripciones. But notice all of these items we've got here in these boxes are not adjectives. Okay, they are all nouns. So we have to have de. ¿Cómo describimos cada cosa? How do we describe each thing? Okay, so if we describe, si describimos, and by the way, that item, that thing it is made out of, or that describes what that's like, because that's a noun, it will not change form. So in other words, cerámica will not become cerámico. All right. Pollo will always stay pollo. It is a noun by itself. It cannot change to polla. So all these words, because because these words, and I have helado there. I needed to change that to chocolate. Because these words are things, chocolate, fruta, porcelana, madera, wood, because these are things, they have to stay in the gender they are. They are not descriptions. Okay? Entonces, hablamos.
Do they change to like plural?
There'll be all the words on the right here are going to stay in the same form.
So even though we're talking about 3 spoons de madera,
Eso, sí.
madera always stays as a singular.
Okay. En inglés, sí. Por ejemplo, they are wooden spoons. En inglés, sí. They are wooden spoons. Okay. So wooden is going to be this word, madera, right? Sí, exacto.
Yeah.
Entonces, sí, madera has to stay madera because it's not a description. It's not wooden. It's
Wood, made of wood.
de madera.
De
It's
madera.
de madera. And because it is de madera, that madera word cannot change. It is a noun. Okay, so we would need first, and we need ser. Okay, these are always going to be used with ser, not estar. Son cucharas de madera. Son cucharas de madera. So madera does not become plural because of cucharas. Madera is always madera. Wood is always wood. It's a noun. And because it's not a description, okay. And I know we say wood spoons or wooden spoons. English can turn wood into wooden. It's got to be de madera. Son de madera. They're made out of wood. Okay. What material is that of? Son de madera. Okay. Platos. Platos. Platos.
Cerámica. De cer
Could be
ceramica.
ceramica, could also be.
porcelana.
Let's
Porcelana.
pick the porcelana. Okay, let's pick the porcelana. Okay, so if I say, these are pieces of china. Los platos. Tengo que engrandecer.
Los platos también, sí.
Los platos son de porcelana.
No.
Los platos son de porcelana. They are china. They are pieces of china. They are dishes made out of china. Okay. And because china or porcelain, see, porcelana is not a description here. Yeah, it's de porcelana. Okay. Vale. If we talk about this kind of soup, and we would say chicken soup. Pollo is a thing. It's a type of meat. It's not a description. So it's got to stay pollo. And I would say es sopa de
pollo.
pollo.
Sí.
Es sopa de pollo. No se puede decir pollo sopa. No es posible decir pollo sopa. Pollo sopa does not make sense to them. Okay, it's got es sopa de pollo. Es sopa de pollo. So all these need a form of ser and the word de and then the noun that doesn't change. So even though sopa is femenina, pollo has to say pollo because it's a noun. Es sopa de pollo. So pollo will not match up with that word sopa. Okay. I could say es sopa muy deliciosa. Es sopa deliciosa. And then deliciosa does change. See? Es sopa caliente. It's hot soup. Es sopa fría if it has been sitting there for a while and now it's cold soup. Es sopa fría. Okay. It's cold. See, está fría, but yeah, you get the idea. Es sopa de pollo, es sopa de pollo. Okay. Vale. Bueno, sí. Helado, helado. It's chocolate ice cream.
Helado, sí.
Es
helado de chocolate.
Es helado de chocolate. Es helado de chocolate. Sí. Es así. Oh, because I changed my size, it doesn't want to let me grab the side here and change the size of my text box. Okay. Es helado de chocolate. Es helado de chocolate. Es helado de fresa. Fresa, strawberry. Es helado de fresa. Fresa cannot change in form. De fresa, made out of strawberry. Así es. Bien, sí. Vale. Bueno, aquí, por ejemplo, vamos a ver. We're going to say these are ceramic cups. Son tazas
De cerámica.
de cerámica. Son tazas de cerámica. Son tazas de cerámica. They're ceramic cups. Okay. Y por fin. If I want to talk about a fruit salad, okay, a fruit salad, and I want to say it's a fruit salad.
Ensalada.
Es
Ensalada.
Es una ensalada
de frutas.
de fruta. O de frutas, you know, maybe if you want to emphasize that there are a bunch of different kinds of fruits, de frutas o de fruta, no importa mucho. Es una ensalada de fruta. Es una ensalada de fruta. Bien. Una ensalada de fruta. What it's made out of. Okay. Bien. Next week, I want to see if you can combine. It's going to be your turn to do some of this. And it's going to be your turn to talk about stuff that clothing is made out of. Okay, this example has all clothing, but I want to use the form of ser. And you want to say it's a t-shirt made out of something. We say cotton t-shirt, silk dress, wool suit, leather jacket. And we can't say leather jacket. We can't say wool suit. It's got to be a suit of wool. So I want you to kind of play around with how will I use the words I'm giving to say it's something made out of this thing. And the last item here is, actually, I'll put in the name items here. Yogur, you see, botellas, see, una olla, a pan, see, copas. I'll have little titles for what we call these things, y pastel. So you'll be matching up items using the same pattern that we used just now with de to talk about what something is made out of, okay, when we have those two nouns together. Sí, está bien. Is that
Está
good?
bien.
Okay, vale. Unos minutos, couple minutes here. Let's take a couple minutes. We're going to do one quick little wrap up and see if we can distinguish. And this one I think is only going to use ser and does it use ser? Is that I? Does it use? It's got a combination. Okay, you'll see how this works. We're going to do kind of a quick lightning round at the end. Bien. Okay. La habitación. Wow, we want to say, we want to express the idea. It's a white room. It's a white bedroom. Which one of those makes sense?
Yes.
Es.
Es blanca, because we're just talking about a characteristic, yeah, not something changeable without, there would take great effort to change it into a different color, right?
Mhm.
We want to say
Hay.
Hi.
3 pájaros, birds.
Hay.
Mhm.
Hay.
There are. We want to say these things exist in the tree. Yeah. Hay 3 pájaros en el árbol. El carro. Oh, and they threw ase in here too.
Yeah.
Está.
It's a
Es.
fast car.
Hace.
Es.
Es. Es.
Es rápido. Ooh, they give us a wrong.
Está. Está.
Está.
Wow.
I don't know what they're doing with that. Okay, well, it's not letting me change things in here. You sí es posible decir el carro es rápido. The car is fast.
Okay.
See, but okay. ¿Qué hora es? What time is it? We've got es, están, son, tienen.
Son. Son.
Son. Yeah. When we are telling time, it's always
Son.
son, unless you talk about that 1 o'clock hour. If it's anything with the 1 o'clock hour, it's es, right? Es la 1, es la 1:30, pero son las 2, son las 3, son las 4, son las 4:50. It's 4:50, son las 4:50. Hoy, today it's very hot.
Hace.
Hace mucho calor. Sí, hace mucho calor. Hoy el cielo. Today the sky. Oscuro es dark. Hoy el cielo.
Está. Because it
Está
changes.
muy because it changes. Because it changes. Because it is changeable, right? The condition in the sky, how much light is there is changeable. Está muy oscuro. Está muy oscuro. Okay. Bien. Hambre. Are you
Tienes.
hungry?
Tienes.
Tienes.
Tienes hambre. Okay. This is one of the big giveaways with it's the sensation, right? The tener idioms that deal with sensation of hot, cold, hunger, thirst. Okay, those will use tener. Okay, that was a lightning round. I don't know what it's doing there with that number 3, but okay. Everything's got some little blips. Okay. Vale. So you're going to change up. You're going to use some de descriptions there. You're also going to have a video. ¿Cuál es el video? What's this week's video? Oh, you're going to have the follow-up because next week we're going to do a guessing game. We're going to fit it in, but it didn't quite work. We will next week. You have the thing with Andrea talk without her glasses. You've got phase 2 of Andrea sin lentes. You're going to have the follow-up of Andrea guessing at things and note those high frequency verbs and ser versus I versus estar and all of that. It's going to be another edition of what Andrea can or cannot figure out without her glasses. But this one is going to use faces. Ooh, más difícil. Va a hablar de personas de la cara. And then we're going to do some guessing games items that I will bring for you, and I will do some verbal descriptions, and you guys will have to guess them next week. And I'm just going to throw out lots of all high frequency verbs, none of them oddball kind of verbs. ¿Está bien? Pretty good?
Bien.
¿Todo bien? ¿Todo bien? Bueno, fantástico. Entonces, esto es todo. That's it for the week. So you're going to have a kind of, we'll be working just on the spur of the moment with the descriptions that I give you. So that's not something I can really give you to prep ahead of time or be giving away the game. Okay. Vale. Bien? ¿Todo bien?
Bien.
Gracias.
Sí.
Magnífico. De nada, de nada. Es un placer como siempre. As always, it is a pleasure. Y nos vemos la semana que viene. And we'll see you guys next week.
Adiós.
Okay.
Yes, pues.
Bueno, adiós.
Hasta
Hasta
luego.
luego. Y cuídense.